Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
We welcome you to hour number 2 live right here on this Tuesday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie. I am Ben. It is one of our favorite NFL games that we play each and every week through a long football season. Buy or sell. We will do that here as we have done throughout each and every round of the postseason. Now, following Super Bowl 59, those big picture questions and the major takeaways from every game we saw throughout this playoff run in the 2024 NFL campaign. Now into the offseason, and some of those questions that do lie ahead, DRS, for those franchises around the NFL in the coming months, because there are many to dissect and debate. That will be our main priority here in hour number 2. We'll talk some NBA action later on in this second hour, and we'll get you set through the rest of the show for a monumental Tuesday night in college basketball, just over a month away from Selection Sunday.
I'll tell you what's great about that, too, is because you do sort of mourn. And for me, being an Eagles fan, there's no mourning of the season. It was fantastic. Parade's Friday. But outside of that, we are football men, right? You take a look at the college football season, how much fun that was, and the excitement there that we had in the college football playoff, right through the NFL playoffs. Oh, no. What do we have to wait for? There is a term that we use, Ben, March Madness. It is the 11th of February. February is the shortest month of the year. We are almost in March, which people always look towards hey, I can't wait for Selection Sunday. I love the 2 weeks previous there because it's conference championship weeks for 2 weeks. Then you get March Madness. It is absolutely a sensational time where we don't have to wait long to get to the really good stuff here, which includes nicer weather, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, baseball season started, and the culmination of a great college basketball campaign, which is March Madness. It's a great time. It is.
Well said, Donnie, right side. Very well said. All right, now time to look back on Super Bowl 59 and have those great debates for the most significant stage and the biggest football game of each and every season. Because when you play in a Super Bowl, let alone win a Lombardi trophy, it becomes a defining moment in your career and a part of your NFL legacy. So we focus now on Jalen Hurts. To the victor goes the spoils and what he did for Philadelphia in Super Bowl 59, maybe the greatest game of his career, where he has performed at the highest level in the most important games of his tenure in Philly. Donnie, here were his stats throughout the postseason. First 2 weeks, kind of shaking off the rust from being in concussion protocol and missing in large part the final 3 weeks of the regular season. Wasn't tasked with doing much because of a dominant ground game and a dominant defense. But then when Jalen Hurts was needed in the NFC Championship game, was incredible against Washington. And when he was especially needed on the most significant stage in Super Bowl 59, he was sensational as well. 221 yards, 2 passing scores, 72 yards on the ground, the game's leading rusher, and scored a touchdown on the tush push as well. Nearly 300 combined yards and 3 total touchdowns in Super Bowl 59. So buy or sell, Donnie Rightside, Jalen Hurts with a Lombardi Trophy and a Super Bowl MVP award is now a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
You got to buy that now, and you have to, because why, Ben? Results matter. He's 5 years into his career, as we've said. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. He has 1 Super Bowl trophy. It's against the Kansas City Chiefs. The team he lost to, it was still the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. He runs the offense, Ben. They scored 40 points in this past Super Bowl. Do you know when they lost their Super Bowl? They didn't score 7 points, 14 points. They scored 35 points, and they lost that game. Wasn't his fault. So when you look at the upper echelon of quarterbacks, you do have to look at on-the-field play because there's some quarterbacks that put up spectacular numbers. But when it comes down to it, you want a quarterback with ice in his veins that can go toe-to-toe. He's played in 9 career playoff games, winning 6 of those, which again includes 2 NFC championships and also a Super Bowl champion. Now, you might say, okay, top 5, if you're just looking toe-to-toe with the most talented quarterbacks in the passing game, probably not. But intangibles have to start flowing into it because my top 5, the top 4, I think you can agree, they're immovable. But after that, you can fit him in the top 5. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I think everybody would agree that's probably in some form or another the top 4 quarterbacks. You can't now argue like, oh, I would take like a CJ Stroud or I love Matthew Stafford. But at this point right now that we're asking as a top 5, I would take Jalen Hurts over Matthew Stafford because he said, well, Stafford's got a Super Bowl. I get it. Jalen Hurts is still in his prime, in his 20s here, and ascending as a better quarterback than maybe he was even a year, 2, or 3 ago, and also playing within the team concept. It's an interesting number because most people might right off the bat, Ben, just say no, but put a list of names right now who is playing better than Jalen Hurts at his time of what he's done in the NFL and what you plan on him to do. He's now officially a top 5 guy.
I buy it as well, Donnie. You talk about those career moments. In the times, in the games, in the performances that define your legacy. You can be great in the regular season. You can throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. But how do we judge greatness in sport, let alone in the National Football League? Championships, rings, titles. And at the National Football League level, and in football in general, we ascertain team success and we put it with one position above all else. That is the quarterback. And Jalen Hurts is now a Super Bowl champion. And Jalen Hurts is now a Super Bowl MVP. Donnie, in 2024's NFL season, there were 6 active quarterbacks who started at least 5 games for their teams that have won a Super Bowl. You now include Jalen Hurts in that fold. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, and somehow, some way, still Joe Flacco. If being judged in this sport is the pinnacle in the pantheon of success, a Lombardi Trophy and a Super Bowl MVP award, Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. We had the debate about Jaden Daniels. Is he the best quarterback in the NFC entering 2025? You and I both sold it for a second. Got to back it up for more than 1 year. If he continues to do so in year number 2 and year number 3, maybe a different story. But Jalen Hurts, in my estimation right now, is the best quarterback in the NFC. And there are plenty in the AFC, as we just highlighted. But through the NFC, team and quarterback-wise, still, to me, it runs through Jalen Hurts and Philadelphia. And, Donnie, I think it would have been hard to have this argument, to have the buy that we both bought into if in Super Bowl 57 or in this playoff run and certainly in Super Bowl 59 against KC, it was that dominant defense that we saw and then Saquon Barkley, 22 carries, 154 yards, and 3 scores to say Jalen Hurts is top 5. But because of his individual performances in the most important games of his NFL career, capped off as a Super Bowl champ in Super Bowl 59, that's why I think you can give that distinction and the accolade to Jalen Hurts.
And we're at the height of the wave right now. It's interesting when we asked this question. We didn't ask this before the Super Bowl because maybe you still needed to see a little bit more. Saying, okay, so I'm in the Super Bowl, lost one before. Let's see him get over the hump. We're asking post-Super Bowl. And again, he wasn't Superman. He didn't throw for 450 yards and 6 touchdowns in this game. He didn't have the performance like Nick Foles, let's just say, had in 2017 against the New England Patriots. All he did was go out there and tell you, we're the better football team. Watch me perform. Watch me use my legs. Watch me use the tush push here. I'll throw multiple touchdown passes. We'll win this game going away, and I'll be the catalyst for that. So, yes, it matters when this question is asked, and I don't think you can argue it at this point. As I laid out already, there's 4 really good quarterbacks in the AFC that you probably would take ahead of Jalen Hurts on a day-to-day basis. But top 5? Absolutely, he's now squared right in there with the greats here. And who knows where his career will end up. But 5 years in the NFL, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win, and an MVP against a team that was going up against a three-peat. You didn't get they lucked out by going against this team, or Patrick Mahomes got injured in the first quarter. No, toe-to-toe with a dynasty and came up with the aces.
And he was sensational, right? Maybe not 450 and 5, but was the offensive best player in Super Bowl 59, nearly 300 total yards in 3 total touchdowns. We'll talk about Mahomes next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and 4th down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's the crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
There is the joy of victory in the agony of defeat. We just talked about Jalen Hurts winning a Super Bowl championship and Super Bowl MVP award, elevates his status as one of the 5 best quarterbacks currently in the National Football League. I still think we would say number 1 right now is Patrick Mahomes. It is very hard to argue, but it's not number 1 right now, Donnie. It's number 1 all time, the greatest to ever do it. The GOAT, because we were getting ready to have that conversation even further. if Mahomes led Kansas City to a third consecutive Lombardi Trophy, becoming the first team in NFL history to do just that, as the current GOAT, Tom Brady, looked down from the broadcast booth. Here is Patrick Mahomes and what he has done throughout his playoff and namely Super Bowl career. The fact he even has a 3-2 record, that's a distinction in itself. Playing in 5 Super Bowls in his 7 years as a starter in Kansas City. You see the 11 total touchdowns to 8 total turnovers, 10 touchdown passes to 7 interceptions. Not exactly the cleanest ratio like we have put on display for Patrick Mahomes throughout his AFC championships, of which he has a larger sample size of 7. But Donnie, now that Mahomes and the Chiefs have come up short, as we shared yesterday, this is not the end to their dynasty run in KC. But this era of the dynasty and the hope for 3 consecutive Lombardis, it has come to a close. So where does that leave the Chiefs? Where does that leave Andy Reid? Where does that define Patrick Mahomes' legacy at this moment? Buy or sell? Patrick Mahomes now has no chance to pass Tom Brady as the greatest of all time.
I'm going to sell that right now, just the way that's worded, where it has no chance, right? He's 29 years old. He's got 3 Super Bowls here. Let's just say he does plan on playing till he's 40 and he's healthy. That's what, 11 more seasons that you can lump in there. Now, understand what we're asking him to do, because LeBron James gets lined up with this as well. What's the grading point? Is it just getting the number of championships? Is it winning percentage once you get to the Super Bowl? Is it playing great at the biggest moments here? But also, we're not comparing him like, is he top 5, top 10, top 15? You are comparing him to the single greatest football player that we've ever seen throughout professional football's history by a wide margin. That is to try to track down. The stuff that Tom Brady did throughout his career in New England and then with Tampa Bay, you're not supposed to surpass that. He set numbers you're not even supposed to get to. So just being in the conversation of, can I track down Tom Brady? Now understand this, when it's all said and done, you're still going to have those, I watched Jordan, that was my favorite player. I watched LeBron James, that was my favorite player. Because even though they did cross-sect each other and play each other, you remember Tom Brady from the early 2000s all the way through. Mahomes recently, as we like to say, has been a dominant force. And recently being like the past 5 to 6 years where you can't knock him out of the Super Bowl. But it's a tough standard to hold up to. I'll sell it because there is a chance that he can track him down. But what are we grading this on at this point? Also, understanding how hard it actually is just to get the Super Bowls, and then once you get there, just to win them. We don't look down at Patrick Mahomes as a 3-2 record in 5 Super Bowls, but then if you want to be the Jordan of football, I never lost in a championship game, or Tom Brady's got 7. Is it 7 that Brady has? Is he 7 and 3 and 10 Super Bowls? Is that what it is?
Correct. Exactly
That's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I'll sell it because of how good he is. But honestly, that's a soft sell right now because Tom Brady sets stats you are never supposed to get to.
I'm going to sell it as well, Donnie, because you just talked about the unbelievable mark for Tom Brady in Super Bowls. 10 appearances, 7 victories, only 3 losses. And we heard from Brady on Sunday night in the booth. He remembers the 3 losses perhaps even more vividly than he does the 7 Lombardi trophies that he put up into the air. In the 2 losses right now for Mahomes sting because he and the Chiefs as a whole looked atrocious in both of those losses, one directly at the hand of Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes has a 17-4 playoff record in his career, with 2 of those losses coming against Brady in 2018's AFC Championship game and Super Bowl 55 against the Buccaneers, and another loss in front of the eyes and the announcing of Brady as well. Yeah. You don't often get to compare Michael Jordan and LeBron James in any head-to-head numbers because of where they played in their careers. Now, Tom Brady at a much deeper stage of his career than Patrick Mahomes, who was his first full season as a starter when he first met Brady in that AFC Championship game, so it's slightly skewed as well. But I'm going to sell this notion because much like Tom Brady, I think Patrick Mahomes is in it for the long haul. Is he going to play to 45? Is he going to play 23 NFL seasons? I'm not so sure. Is he going to play for at least the next decade? I would assume the answer is yes. And I think he is going to have 3, 4, 5 more opportunities at bare minimum to win a Super Bowl championship. And I think Mahomes is going to capitalize on those opportunities. Now, does he need to equal exactly 7 Super Bowl rings so we can have this conversation? Perhaps. If he gets to 5 or 6, but puts up better numbers throughout the entirety of his career than Tom Brady, does that give him a leg up or an advantage? Perhaps. But, Donnie, I'm not going to diminish any success or stats or historical numbers or Super Bowl championships that Tom Brady has seen in his NFL career. But part of the reason Brady is the GOAT is because of the longevity. 23 NFL seasons, 22 as a full-time starter. 20 of those 22 years, he played the entirety of the season. That allows you to culminate all of those record-setting numbers. It also allows you to guide your team to a Super Bowl, of which Brady took advantage of. But if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play 23 years, it might be hard to quantify in the direct head-to-head as well. He's only 29, and I do believe there will be plenty of more chances for Mahomes and the Chiefs. So I sell this notion that Mahomes has no chance of catching Brady in the GOAT debate. I think he will.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no real clear winner at the end of it because you're going to have two factions on both sides. I think watching Mahomes was the best. Some people will tell you Aaron Rodgers was more talented than both of them here, but you just don't stack up the Super Bowls. And even the old heads like myself, there's a lot of people out there that will tell you, and I saw him at the Super Bowl, that nobody's ever going to touch Joe Montana, regardless of what the final stats are. Big game Joe was unbelievable at his best moments there, whether or not playing at Notre Dame or heading to the NFL. So this debate is always going to rage on. It's a really good one.
It is a really, really good one. And I think there are accolades for both in terms of talent, production, and the highest levels of success. More on the early line up next.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. We continue to play buy or sell in some of those big picture questions at the end of a football season, specifically the close of Super Bowl 59. We've talked Jalen Hurts. We've talked Patrick Mahomes, their legacies, where they stand entering 2025. We do the same right now, DRS, for one Travis Kelce. At the age of 35 years old, Travis Kelce still one of the most productive and prolific postseason performers the sport of football has ever seen, as we saw on display in the divisional round. 7 grabs, 117 yards, and a touchdown against the Texans. But in the final 2 games of the season for KC, not nearly those numbers, and under 59.5, which was his receiving yards prop for Super Bowl Sunday against Philadelphia. It's hard to really judge some of the stats and the prop performances for anybody on Kansas City based on how the game played out Sunday night, but still Travis Kelce, maybe a lackluster performance. Throughout Super Bowl week, DRS, and you were there inside the Superdome on Monday night on media opening night for Super Bowl 59, Travis Kelce was asked, I'm sure, a ton about his future in the NFL, his future in Kansas City, and Kelce still said, listen, I still got a lot of great games ahead, a lot of great years to play. I don't feel like it's quitting time anytime soon. But I ask you, Donnie, buy or sell? Sunday was Travis Kelce's final game in the National Football League.
I'm going to fade the public, and I'm going to buy this year. Now, understand my thought process, which hasn't changed, and it is a big underdog, I would say right now, if he does hang them up. But the reason I say that is when you're chasing history, sometimes you hang on a little bit longer than you want to. Now, you look at Travis Kelce, and it's amazing to think that next year in October, Ben, he's going to be 36 years old. Like, that's not a 36-year-old baseball player. That's a 36-year-old NFL player at a skill position that takes an absolute beating, whether he's blocking or catching the football over the middle. It's hard to get up each and every day and get ready for the next practice, let alone the next game. But also understand this. We always look at like boxers back in the day, if you will. Yeah. It's like they just can't stay out of the limelight because it's fun to be the champ. It's fun to perform in front of all of those people. And the same thing with football players as well. But also understand this too. The camaraderie of the locker room. I don't care if you played peewee football, middle school, high school, college, or professional ranks. One of your most fondest memories are just being with the fellas in the locker room, kicking it, not even out on the field. That's something that's hard to step away from. But also, you used to say, well, I got to play another year because I need the money because, you know, I'm 35 years old and I hope to live to 85 and that money has to last me. He's made so much money and will probably make more money off the field than he has on the field here. And also, he is probably going to get engaged and or married to Taylor Swift in the upcoming future. I'm not saying it's the right move, but also you just lost the Super Bowl. You were going for the three-peat. That was big. And I thought before the game, if he won it, Ben, he would continue to play because that's immortality at this point. I won 3. Can I go for 4? Nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever done 3, and we already cleared that. Now, for me, would be the perfect time to retire to say, man, I gave it my all. We tried for the three-peat, didn't get it. I don't have anything left to prove. I am the single best player in the history of this sport at my position, and it's okay to go out at 35 years old and respect that great career.
He is 35 years old. He has spent 12 seasons in the National Football League, all in Kansas City. He has been a Pro Bowl selection each of the last 10 years, including this year. And there is an idea, Donnie, and it is true. The production has slid for Kelce in the last couple of seasons. There's no doubt. He had 7 consecutive years of at least 1,000 receiving yards from 2016 through 2022. He has been under those numbers each of the past 2 years, but still incredibly productive at his position. 133 targets in the regular season. The only Chief with more than 100 targets. He is still Mahomes' top option when it comes to how the offense is orchestrated in Kansas City. I'm going to sell. I do think Travis Kelce comes back for at least another year. But I think it's a part of the conversation, Donnie, and I think you beautifully said it. When the hunt for history comes up short, I think it allows you even more, perhaps, than if it was successful to sit back and reflect and put all of your ducks in a row and figure out your future, because that's what happens when you lose. You sit back and figure out, what can I do differently? What do I want to invest to try to turn all of this around? I still think Travis Kelce plays in 2025, but a part of the conversation is coming up short on the football field and all that Kelce has off of the football field that would still be enticing to fill up the docket in the schedule for one of the best to ever do it. We'll see the rest of the offseason. NBA conversations next.
slow play drumbeat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or a plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night, but it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
So the football season has come to a close. We just had some big picture conversations for the NFL offseason ahead, following the end of Super Bowl 59 on Sunday night in New Orleans. And we'll still continue to discuss and debate all of the storylines and narratives moving forward in this NFL offseason, basically on a daily basis here on the early line. Not all that far away, by the way, from the daily basis with Craig Mish or anybody who wants to talk Major League Baseball. Pitchers and catchers starting to report for spring training. Isn't that something? But DRS, as football season comes to a close, our attention turns even more to basketball, both in the NBA and in college hoops. So we've tried to, I think, last week, early on this week, kind of set the stage for what you can expect and get you caught up on everything you might have missed out on this season so far around the association. Deadline now done. That trade deadline last Thursday. We are well past the midway point of an 82-game regular season. Everybody in the NBA has played at least 50 games. All-Star Weekend is just a few days away in San Francisco. It is this weekend. We'll have the All-Star Skills Competition, All-Star Saturday night. We'll have Friday really kick things off, and, of course, the All-Star game on Sunday. So this is a time to pay attention. When we get back next week from the All-Star break, it's that stretch run, playoff positioning, trying to move up the seed line in the standings, out of the play-in tournament, into the playoffs, solidifying where you will be as the postseason begins. This is really the thick of it, Donnie, in the NBA.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, I need to know who's the musical performer for NBA All-Star Weekend. Do we have that? Got to be better than Kendrick Lamar. Got to be a better performance. Yeah, usually halftime of the NBA All-Star game. Don't they have a concert there? Now, I understand the opening starting lineups, hilarious, because whatever they tell you, not long enough. Like 45 minutes to get through the introductions, which is always hilarious to me. But I need to find out who that actual performer is for the All-Star game. It's got to be. They got to have somebody.
Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Angelo's doing something. Okay, so here's like the concert guide. There's going to be so many things happening around All-Star Weekend in San Francisco. But officially on behalf of the NBA, to headline NBA All-Star Concert Series, 3-day concert series will take place at San Francisco's historic Pier 48. Noah Khan, who is sensational, but more of your acoustic indie music. Zed, the DJ,
Oh,
and the
all right.
Chainsmokers, also
Whoa.
the DJ. Noah Khan will pose with the Larry O'Brien Trophy, or he did pose with the Larry O'Brien Trophy during the 2024 NBA Finals. Noah Khan, a native of Vermont, so a Celtics fan there in New England. So that's your kind of headliners, DRS. Noah Khan, Zed, and the Chainsmokers.
Yeah, but I need to. There's nobody performing like at the game itself. Oh wow!
Doesn't say.
We're back to basketball.
Who's performing at the All-Star game? I'm seeing something. What do you mean the game doesn't have halftime?
Oh, yeah, Joe Frieso's talking to us here. Is that because?
Yeah.
Now, Grant, again, this is how far about. Are we having a brand new like whack format that we have to explain again? Yeah. So there you go. Oh boy, 4 teams now, not 2 teams. Good luck on this.
I mean,
how are we gambling on this? Is anybody betting this thing? We know how to bet
We'll get ready for it later this week, DRS. I think Thursday is the last day of games. You will not be here Friday as you're doing something with Pro Football Today this upcoming week. So I would just say that it's kind of like a bummer for me personally, because like you're fun as Commissioner Rightside puts on the hat to bag on these dumb formats.
Yeah,
but I mean, Joe Ranieri will do a great job on Friday, and we'll handicap it all. Big college basketball weekend.
Let me see the show script.
We'll talk about college basketball. I would be sure. 4 weeks out from Selection Sunday. On Sunday, our first 1 versus 2 in the history of the SEC as a conference in men's basketball.
Buy or sell?
We've got to talk about that. Buy or sell what?
Buy or sell expanding the NCAA tournament. You could talk about that for some time. You got options. We got options.
Have you looked at the bubble this year? Have you looked at the bubble and the teams in consideration? No. It's awful.
Not at all.
It's one of the softest bubbles you have seen for at-large bids.
Is Syracuse on that bubble?
No, they're awful. Syracuse, the only bubble they should be bursting is that of Red Autry and finding a new head coach. Give me anybody. At this. Triple overtime on Saturday against Boston College. Triple overtime. BC is the worst team in an awful ACC. And inside the JMA Dome, which used to be the pride of Central New York on a Saturday afternoon, Syracuse had to go to triple overtime. Now, they did come out with a victory. It's not great, Donnie. It's not great.
Newhouse isn't happy. The Newhouse boys aren't happy on campus, I can tell right now.
No, they're not.
No. Embarrassment. Nobody wants to. By the way, real quick though, I did see one of your tweets there. Like, is it true? Like back in the day, we used to really fill up the JMA Dome, and
for sure
now it's like, the big games are down at this point. That's for sure. Look, administration's got to look at that. They got to look at that.
Listen, 23,000, a little bit more than 23,000, came to Syracuse Duke last Tuesday to see the Orange get absolutely obliterated at home by the Blue Devils, losing by 29. My sophomore year was our first in the ACC, and we had more than 35,000 for the Duke-Syracuse game. I think a couple of years later, they got more than 36,000, which is still the largest ever attended on-campus game in men's college basketball history. My first year was against Georgetown at the time. That was the attendance record. It was a terrible viewing experience, Donnie, for a basketball game. You're up in the rafters basically at like the 50-yard line of what the football field would have been, but it was still one of the greatest moments of my life being there and being a part of it. And kids would camp out at Beheimsburg, as they called it, to get in to the Carrier Dome. I would show up 10 minutes before tip, feeling good with, a beer coat, if you will, for those cold winter days in Syracuse, New York. And now we barely get more than 23,000, albeit on a Tuesday night. It's a sad state of affairs for Syracuse men's basketball.
Now, how about if we like, because we like nostalgia here. How about we go back, we change the name from the Orange to what they were. We go back to the Carrier Dome here. You know what I mean? Like we can make it happen. We can bring back greatness to Syracuse by just making some few minor technical changes on campus up there. How do you feel about that? We have to go back to Manly. Like, is Manly even there anymore? I assume that probably got knocked down at this point.
Manly's
is it still there?
Manly's still there, yeah. It's like the practice facilities. And
yeah,
I think, at least in my lot.
Throw some chairs in there. Let's go. We'll bring it way back. Little Pearl action.
Just so I can clarify, I can clarify how rude you are trying to be.
Yes.
You're talking about Syracuse, their last nickname before we got to strictly orange, right? Not their initial mascot.
What was the initial? Oh, give me some history of Syracuse.
See, we'll
what
get
was
to
the
that.
one?
Just
Come on now.
Wikipedia search
Please,
for
pop,
you.
pop
during
up a
the
graphic. We
commercial
don't have to
break.
say it. What is it?
All
What
right.
is it?
So, anyway, we're talking about the NBA Western Conference, I believe, and the odds that we need right now. We'll continue to do this on the other side of the break as well. But DRS, we basically shared this yesterday as we try to get everybody up to speed following the end of the football season and, of course, Super Bowl Sunday. It's really a tier of two around the NBA from the odds perspective to win that Larry O'Brien trophy. The Celtics, the reigning champs, have been booked as the favorites all year. But Boston had a leg up on everybody else, all 28, 29 other teams. Now there's really not that large of a distinction between Boston and the NBA's best in the Western Conference, in the best record in the association right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are an even money favorite at plus 100 to win the Western Conference crown.
Unbelievable and unthought of in the past, 10 to 15 years? Isn't always the Western Conference, you're like, man, there's 8 or 9 teams jockeying for that top spot. It feels like it's Oklahoma City and everybody else in the West, which is something we never used to get.
And we'll talk about the changing of the guard in the Western Conference and if some of those old names that we always expected to win that conference championship
like those old
can
names.
Still contend after their blockbuster deals up next.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scover when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Looking at the conference odds around the association, where things stand just a few days away from the All-Star break in the NBA. Yes, the All-Star break in the NBA, well past the midway point of this 82-game regular season. Every team has played at least 50 so far this year. Donnie, back to the Western Conference odds, where last year, when we were breaking down the NBA campaign, we started to see a change from where the offseason odds were, those expected to contend for a conference crown, and the teams that actually had the best records out west all of last year, and where the odds board was still a little bit hesitant to move teams like the Nuggets and the Warriors and the Suns off those front-running spots and place teams like the Thunder, in the T-Wolves, in the Grizzlies, and the Mavericks up there. Now there is no doubt. Oklahoma City has the best record in the NBA, 42-9, just pasted the Pelicans last night by 36 at home. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues to average better than 30 points per game. Chet Holmgren is back now for OKC as well. They have an 8-game advantage, Donnie, an 8-game lead to the Thunder for the one spot in the Western Conference in front of the Memphis Grizzlies. And yet we see the Nuggets, who probably have the most pedigree of Western Conference teams in the last few years, at least in the last 2-3 years of winning a conference championship and winning an NBA championship. Still with Nikola Jokic, the Nuggets have won 7 consecutive games. The Lakers added Luka Doncic. They've won 6 games in a row, sitting in that 5 spot. The Grizzlies are about to be the 2 seed out west for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. You have the Clippers, the Rockets on the come up, the T-Wolves, the Mavs, the Warriors making some noise with Jimmy Butler. Donnie, how do you look at those Western Conference championship odds right now?
Like, why would you take it, right? Plus, even if we're telling you right now, OKC is the best team in the West. Does that always mean they advance to the championship rounds here for the NBA Finals? No, it doesn't. It's hard to bet against them, but also price point, plus 100. SGA gets injured, which we don't expect injuries, but they do happen. It's one thing to be left with, hey, I took a shot on a 35-1 that the best player got injured. Just didn't work out. But a plus 100, one injury can massively affect those numbers here that you have, even though we're not anticipating them. But take a look behind them. Do you think the Grizzlies can knock off the Thunder? The Nuggets, who do have the playoff pedigree, one of those teams that you might look, because also they have the advantage of playing at elevation. But when it comes down to it, and we talked about the Eastern Conference, where the Cavaliers have a great home record. Look at OKC. Yeah. They are 24-3 at home this year. They're going to be home throughout the NBA playoffs here in the Western Conference. So they've lost 3 times. You're going to have to beat them basically 3 times in their own building in one series probably to advance to the next round over them. That's what's so tough to overcome, but there is value the farther you go down. Do you think the Lakers can overcome a lot of challenges? I don't know if they can, but they do have the top-end pedigree if they get hot to do some damage. You even go further down, like making changes for the Golden State Warriors if they can get hot. They're in the 10th seed right now. But the Memphis Grizzlies, the Rockets, the Clippers, I love and have an affinity for because my guy Norm Powell plays for them. But it just feels like Oklahoma City, by far, is the best team in the Western Conference, which, again, to the original point was that usually wasn't the case. It used like, my goodness, just getting to the NBA Finals was an achievement to get through those great teams.
And again, OKC, despite getting to the Western Conference semis last year, coming up short in a 6-game series against Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks, they don't have the proven postseason experience, but they have hopefully learned from their postseason lumps a year ago. I find it difficult to believe right now that Oklahoma City is not going to at least be in the Western Conference Finals, and they are going to have home floor advantage for that. I wouldn't bet even money plus 100 at this moment, but I don't think that number gets longer unless something catastrophic happens, which we obviously hope is not the case for a very fun organization that is still young, led by the MVP odds-on favorite in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, the Nuggets have pedigree. That could be value. The Lakers at a 9-1 price, Donnie, is what I bet to win the West after the acquisition of Luka Doncic. It has not grown shorter despite 6 consecutive wins. And with that 6th straight win last night, the Lakers have now moved in front of the Rockets based on win percentage for this 4 spot. LeBron and Luka would be hosting a playoff series if the season ended today inside Crypto.com Arena. One of the reasons it has not moved from where it was initially after the acquisition of Luka is because they added Mark Williams and then lost Mark Williams, and they still, it would seem, need some help in the front court to pair with LeBron James and Luka Doncic. Donnie, I think the Grizzlies are a great team. I'm not necessarily sure there is a team I believe in that can knock off the Thunder. It's just about some value right now. The Nuggets have that proven pedigree. I really do kind of believe that the top 3 teams there, OKC, Denver, and the LA Lakers, are going to be 3 of the 4 teams that get to the second round of the Western Conference playoffs, if that makes sense.
Yes, and also the Lakers we talked about, and we will coming up here in a Fade the Public poll, which is really interesting, how far they could possibly go and what's a successful season. But if we do take a look at, you're throwing darts up here, because we do agree that the Thunder are the best team by a wide margin. Now it's price point that you're hunting down. Like, I think the Clippers have enough superstar power where if they can get rest, and we know how the NBA playoff works, if you're a veteran team, you really get bonuses because you're not playing back-to-backs here. You're just not playing every other night. You get 2 to 3 days in between some of those playoff games. So for me, you see that Clippers price point at 15-1, and then I still can never quit the Suns with that much talent at 34 to, not to win the NBA championship, to win the Western Conference. And hear me out, it isn't because they're not a good team, but when you get there, the veteran players get rest and they're extremely talented. If they can get hot, it's not about winning it overall. At that price point, you have to win a series. You win 2 series, that ticket then turns into plus money because of how much that's going to drop. The Thunder, plus 100, should win it. There's no value in the plus 100 other than a straight bet at that point. They have to wait weeks to cash. But a team like the Clippers, again, 15-1, and the Suns 34-1, there is a pedigree on those teams that if they can get hot and stay healthy, maybe they can do some damage.
Price point is a great way of phrasing it, DRS, because if you get the Suns into the second round, it's not going to be 34-1. You can just cash out even if you don't believe they are a true contender even at that stage. Maybe a similar story for the Warriors. Their price to win the West got slashed in half after getting Jimmy Butler, 50-1 to 25-1. They have looked good with Jimmy Butler in the fold. Again, you're hoping for a value play. Golden State is in the 10 spot right now, our last and final in the play-in tournament. Phoenix just on the outside looking in to the Eastern Conference. Next.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scover and when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or a plus 105 or plus 110, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night, but it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
From the West to the Eastern Conference, we continue our odds discussion about where the NBA stacks up right now based on records, based on where things stand a few days away from the NBA All-Star break. Now, Donnie, in the Western Conference, the best team is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they're 8 games clear of even the team in the 2 spot right now. That would be the Grizzlies for the number 1 overall seed. And they are booked as the short favorites. The Boston Celtics are minus money favorites in the Eastern Conference, where basically they have been for a good part of this season. I'm saying in a minus money perspective, they have been the favorites to win the East in a very short fashion and to win the NBA championship all year long as the reigning NBA title winners. But the Celtics, Donnie, are not overly impressive, at least based on our expectation, which might sound difficult because they have the second best mark in the Eastern Conference at 38-16. That's the second best or third best overall record in the NBA. But the best team in the Eastern Conference right now is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are 5.5 games in front of Boston for that one spot with a 42-10 record. So, Donnie, knowing that distinction, the Celtics a minus money favorite, but not the one seed in the East, in front of the Cleveland Cavaliers, how do you approach the Eastern Conference title odds?
Yeah, for me, look, I do think when it's all said and done, honestly, the Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference. But that doesn't mean you're going to have home court advantage all the way through. You got to beat them in Boston, which for a couple rounds you will based on where they stand. But I just see, like, the Cavaliers are very good. You see the record, 43-10, 5.5 game lead right now over the Boston Celtics. But once again, look at the home court numbers, Ben. 25-4 on their home court. If you have home court advantage, that means a lot here. Now, you're trying to, extrapolate, and as I said before, the NBA is priced differently from the regular season to the postseason. If you can get the Celtics to the postseason, fully healthy, of course they're the favorites, and deservedly so. But when we talk about price points here, if I think I'm getting the top team in the conference, record-wise, that will be home, that if they do face the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, will have home court advantage. And right now I'm getting a price point of plus 350 as opposed to minus 125. I'm taking that all day long. But also, you're going to have to see, they're 6-4 in the last 10 games. They're not unstoppable, not running away with everything. But for them to blow a 5.5 game lead on the backstretch in the NBA, already being a quality team outside of disastrous injuries, I don't buy that at this time. So for me, just looking at the price points here, I think it's wildly disrespectful for the Cavaliers to have a 5.5 game lead, but still a plus 350 price. And we're not talking about the Celtics, Ben, at plus 225. The Celtics are minus 125. I can't get down with that.
Donnie, it's been the same kind of conversation since early October. Who provides Boston the best test out in the Eastern Conference? We had the same conversation even last year on that historic run for the Celtics throughout the regular season and into the playoffs. You would have to say it is the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the Knicks also have the third best record out east at this moment, and maybe the firepower with Karl Anthony Towns to provide Boston its best test. 34-18, the number for New York. To me, it's still the Celtics in front of everybody else. But if it ends up being 1 versus 2, which seems likely because the Cavs have a 5.5 game lead over Boston, the Celtics 3 games clear of the New York Knicks. If that is our Eastern Conference Finals matchup, Boston's not at TD Garden this year. They would be on the road in Cleveland for that best of 7 set, where I do think those odds would be a little bit tighter, or at least should be in premise, Donnie.
Yes, you're right about that. And that's what we're trying to finalize it, because as much as you could be fans of the NBA, you still have to be handicappers and be optimistic of what those price points would be. And let's just say we go chalk all the way through, and it's Cleveland and Boston. It's not Cleveland to win that series at a plus 350 price at that point here. And that's the point we're trying to point out, where you're trying to say, what's the best numbers I can get? Do you want to take the Celtics? If you think the Celtics are best right now at minus 125, that's crazy to take them right now. And again, they're not even in the 1 seed. Could they win it? Of course they can. Did they win it last year? Yes, they did. But for me, as I say to myself, which price point? If you just said, Donnie, you have 2 choices. It's Celtics and Cavaliers, not plus 100 apiece at these same numbers. I take the Cavaliers 6 out of 7 days at the plus 350 as opposed to laying the minus 125.
43-10, the record for Cleveland. Second best in the NBA, only by having 1 additional loss so far in comparison to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are 43-9. That is proven. That's not a great start that is flamed out, that is continuing to win multiple games at a time, seemingly week in, week out for the Cavaliers. Listen, I still think it is Boston, and I would still certainly give them the edge against Cleveland. But there is some value knowing where the Cavs stand in their situation. Hour number 3, next.